Johnson believes that persons who have taken umbrage over the government's decision to revoke the Red House lease are either underinformed or they are completely ignoring the National Trust Act. Johnson is the cultural policy advisor to the government. According to Section 15 of the National Trust Act, once publicized, gazetted, and declared a national monument, that monument, without further assurance, becomes the property of and vests in the National Trust. In an interview with Nightly News on Tuesday, Johnson said that, among other things, the opposition was using one of the country's monuments for business and for private party purposes, and that he thinks that could not have been allowed to continue.
Basically what happened is that the former administration formed a private company and sold a national monument, one of only 9 gazetted national monuments, and one of only 2 habitable monuments to themselves. And that is the problem, that's the issue. On the thin guys that Jagan deserved it, although he only lived there 4 years. Whereas Jagan has a house that he lived in for decades, which is open to the public, and which properly should house the Chetty Jagan Research Center. Just as how Hoyt's farmhouse, recently opened the Desmond Hoyt Foundation.
PPP executive Komal Chand last week said that the decision to revoke the Red House lease was an insult to the legacy of Dr. Jagan. This is not the view shared by Mr. Johnson.
Chetty Jagan was a very humble man. Taking his material out of an illicitly acquired state property, a national monument no less, doesn't destroy Chetty's legacy.
The government's cultural advisor thinks that President Grinch should have acted swiftly on the issue from the start.
The question of the validity of the lease should have been settled beforehand. I think the mistake the government made, and I understand the president's cautiousness and skittishness with regard to the sensitivity of the issue, which have prolonged it, but it made no sense. In fact, it backfired. The issue wasn't whether the use of the center. The issue at hand is that you cannot have a private company in ownership of a national monument.
Johnson said the transaction was a fraudulent one and resulted in years of abuse of state asset. He thinks a few persons should be sanctioned for all the events leading up to the Red House fiasco. Former Speaker of the National Assembly and former PPP executive Mr. Ralph Ramkaran, in his weekly blog, referred to the revocation of the Red House lease as executive lawlessness. Attorney General Basil Williams disagreed, calling Mr. Ramkaran's conclusion strong statements. Royden James, HGP Nightly News.